Waka waka.
Hey everybody, happy Purim!
Happy Purim, everybody. We're all dressed up just for the American Jew podcast.
Oh my goodness, so good to be back in the studio, Jordan. How's it going?
Oh my God, I feel spectacular.
You do? Oh, hey, that's a Spider-Man joke right there. What a Jewish costume you got representing.
I mean, I feel like these are the two kind of costumes that you see at Purim. It's the adults that get dressed up as more devout Jews, and the kids get to be regular kids.
Really?
I guess.
I don't know about that. I never saw more devout Jew costumes. I'm kind of like flipping the script because, one of the reasons that people do dress up in Purim is because, like Esther and Mordecai, they hid their true identity as Jews from Ahasuerus, the king.
Right.
So like we're kind of hiding our real identities. But I dressed up. I'm extra Jewish. I'm super Jewish today.
I mean,
I'm bringing it.
I mean, Peter Parker may not be Jewish, but Spider-Man. I mean, it's,
hey, Spider-Man could be a little Jewish.
I mean,
yeah.
Stan Lee was Jewish, so obviously, I would say that the majority of comic book characters created by Stan Lee are Jewish. At least in tone.
Okay, I mean, I don't know about that, but I mean, like The Thing is Jewish, Ben Grimm. Kitty Pryde, she's Jewish, one of the X-Men. Spider-Man, not so much, but hey, you dress up as whatever you want to dress up as.
I mean,
if it's the same costume that, 5-year-olds dress up as, Jordan, if that's what you want to dress up as, don't let me get in the way, all right?
I don't know if you guys can tell how big I'm smiling under here, but oh boy, am I a big toothy grin
No
here.
one can tell, but this actually, I don't think this is actually his nose, all right? That makes it look extra Spider-Man.
All right, you know what?
Or extra Jewy.
All right.
But Purim is, the holiday. It's today. Once again, it happened. The Jews were being persecuted, and they, overcame. This time, it happened in Persia. And that's where we get the story of Purim. And Purim is a holiday. I feel like it's right up Jordan's alley. I know Jordan always tries to make all the holidays weed holidays, but Purim is a holiday where you're actually supposed to get like super wasted.
But
you're supposed to get so wasted you don't know the difference between King Ahasuerus and Mordecai.
But it's actually more of a drinking holiday. I thought.
Yes, it is a drinking holiday.
Purim's all about getting drunk, not about getting stoned.
For sure, but I mean, get however you want to get, It's about getting messed up. People typically do it through alcohol, but, hey, I like it. I like it how you didn't even go straight to weed, Jordan.
Yeah, I didn't even get stoned yet today.
Oh, my goodness. You want a
showed up
Homentashen?
sober.
I brought some Homentashen.
Look at this.
Right?
I love it. You put out a spread.
Got a bunch of different flavors from the Jewish bakery down the street that I love in the Lower East Side. And, one of the ways that you celebrate is eating Homentashen, which are these cookies like filled with like different types of jams. What flavor did you get?
I think this is raspberry.
Okay, looks like a raspberry one. Anyways, delicious Jewish cookies. We're really getting in the spirit of Purim. I think you're supposed to like give 2 different types of food in Mishelach Manos or something like that, but I just brought the Homentashen that are triangle shaped. Apparently Haman, who was the bad guy in the Purim story in the Megillah, he had like pointy ears, so I think that's one of the reasons why we have the Homentashen are in the triangle shapes.
I thought it was like a tri-corner hat. No?
He also, I guess, had to try. He had both. He had the hat and the pointy ears, so I guess it depends which way you go. But it could be either one, yes.
I performed a few years ago at a Purim party.
Okay.
At a temple.
At a temple?
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. That's very on brand.
It was a Dr. Seuss themed Purim party.
Oh, okay. I think I do. I think I might be celebrating Purim tonight.
Yeah. It was a Dr. Seuss themed Purim party. I don't know. Dr. Seuss, not Jewish.
Not Jewish, and isn't there a little bit like some people think he was a little anti-Semitic? Or I think there's like when we went to the zoo or something, there's some that's a little questionable.
There are some questionable things, but I feel like that's such a small, like it's, I don't think he was an anti-Semite. But
okay, I mean,
I'm guessing the Jews, I guess the Jews accept him because he's a doctor.
Oh, is that what it is? I don't think he's a real doctor, okay? I think, did he give himself that doctor?
I think he did give his own doctorate to
right?
himself,
Like,
yeah.
he's not, like, if he came home, if you brought him home, like, your mom would be like, he's not a real doctor.
Well, his diagnosis rhymed, so.
Oh, that's all that matters, as long as it rhymes, right?
I don't know. I think so. Purim is one of those ones that...
You should have came here faster because you have cancer. No, that doesn't even rhyme.
Yeah, Jonathan did not prepare the rhymes
I did not
ahead of
prepare
time.
these rhymes. I'm just trying to improvise these doctor rhymes right now.
It was like one fish, two fish, red fish, gefilte fish. That's what we were dealing with.
Okay, I mean, I don't know what doctor is saying that.
Well, this was at the Purim party.
Okay.
It's a joke that didn't work then or now, apparently.
It's okay to get off your knees. You don't have to beg. You don't have herpes.
Oh, look at that.
There we go. I got one out there. I'm improvising here. I'm trying to come up with these medical rhymes on the spot.
I feel like it's also a little bit of wishful thinking on your part.
Oh, wow. What are you trying to say, Jordan?
I'm saying you have herpes.
Oh, jeez. I don't have herpes, everybody. I never had an STD in my whole life.
He's been itching to get back to doing the show.
Hey, now! Thankfully, I didn't bring STDs back from my trip.
South America. How
Colombia
was it? Was it a good
amazing.
trip?
I had such a lovely time.
Were there Jews there? Did you meet any Jews?
I did not meet any Jews. But you know what? I was in some park and I was getting some ceviche off some guy at this, beautiful national park they have there, Tayrona National Park, right by the ocean. It was gorgeous. And the guy had like a Star of David on his shirt. And I was like, what's up? I'm like, are you a Jew? You know, like he didn't really speak English. My Spanish sucks. But what I've gathered is he's like involved in like some place where he prays that like Jews also pray. They have like one house of worship where everybody prays together.
Okay.
So, and his ceviche was delicious. I mean, it did have shrimp in it, not very kosher, but it was outstanding.
Interesting segue into this week's Torah portion, I guess, that you were at a place that was like, you know what, pray to whoever you want.
Okay, I'm not really sure how I'm seeing this connection to the segue, but I'll go with it, Jordan.
Well, today's the golden calf portion, which is like, don't pray to the golden calf. First of all, God says don't pray to anybody except me.
Right, God only wants people to pray to him, and then Moses goes back up to get the 10 Commandments, and he's up there for 40 days and 40 nights, and the Jews get restless. That's too much for them. They can't wait anymore, so they force Aaron into building them a golden calf, and then they're all worshiping it, and then Moses is like, what are you people doing?
I know, it reminds me of like in grade school, if the teacher doesn't show up and people are like, well, if he doesn't come in 15 minutes, we can dance to whatever we want to.
Right? That is not the good system. Of course, Moses comes down. He breaks the commandments. He breaks the tablets. He's very upset. God is pissed. God is ready to just call it quits with the Jewish people. But
It's
Moses begs him and he pleads with him not to.
It's crazy. It's like the last thing Moses and God told the Jewish people before he went back up. Like, don't pray to anybody else but me. I'll be right back with all the tablets. And he comes back, and the first thing they did was they're like, I don't know who to pray to.
The Jews don't have patience. We're very pushy people. We can't wait. We made the golden calf. I know I've made the analogy quite often that I think Israel is the modern day golden calf that the Jews have created. Of course, we could get into talking a little bit about that later because so much has been going on there, especially even now today during the Purim holiday, which is no way to celebrate. But let's first talk more, I guess, about the golden calf since Jordan thought he had a great segue to it.
I thought it was a pretty good segue. I think it works.
All right, I don't agree, but that's okay. Just like I don't agree about the golden calf. But then, yes, Moses convinces God basically not to just kind of like, give up on the Jewish people. And God actually comes up with the 13 attributes of mercy. Which I feel like we could do a whole episode just about the 13 attributes of mercy, but I mean, there's so much to talk about already just between Purim and the golden calf and Israel.
Yeah, it's a lot. I do feel like the fact that this golden calf is like one of the big stories at this point in the Bible. I feel like, after the 10 Commandments, there's the portions in between, the ones that we didn't get to that while you were out of town, is like all of the building of the sanctuary.
Right. They talked about like how to build it and stuff like that.
It's pretty dry stuff.
Didn't miss too much, but even in this week's Torah portion, they finished talking a little bit about, building it, making it the way they want, that they could have like special oils and incense and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then they get into Moses going to get the commandments, and unfortunately things do not work out too well because, why did we have to create the golden calf? Why couldn't the Jews just wait? And why a golden calf anyways? So many questions, so many weird things, but God is merciful.
Although
he's merciful to us.
He does tell Moses that the priestesses should wear the golden plates, though.
He says that this week?
That's one of the things that he says is that the high priest should wear like a golden crown and golden chest plates.
Okay, all right.
So
God doesn't have a problem with the Jewish people wearing gold, but he just doesn't want them to create idols and worship them.
Right. But, it is, a little bit, it feels like maybe there was some miscommunication before he left because
I don't think so. I think this is kind of like par for the course. Like the Jewish people, like no matter what happens, that they want to like take things upon themselves almost, which I guess, of course, I'm making the analogy again to Israel. But it's like, God got us out of Egypt. He created these plagues to help get us out. He parted the sea, and we can't even wait 40 days and 40 nights for Moses to come down. We're already like, oh, he's not coming. Let's just worship something else that's not real, which I kind of think is, like these days, we couldn't wait for the Messiah and for God to deliver us for Israel, so we decided to take it ourselves.
It does feel like a little bit, though, like everything God kind of tries to do blows up in his face a little bit, and he has to sort of amend what he was trying to get across in the first place.
What do you mean blows up in his face?
Well, so like even in the beginning, he doesn't like the way that humanity starts to unfold, and so he kills everybody except for Noah and starts over. Then he kind of, then people start communicating, and he has to change all the languages so nobody can communicate with each other because he doesn't want them to come up and see him. At this point, he's told them not to worship a golden calf. He comes down.
Well, not to worship any other god.
Right. So he comes back down, and that's exactly what they're doing. And it's like, oh, okay. These people need it spelled out in a full form. It needs to be a really long list of things. It needs to be very specific.
I mean, I think he was pretty specific before, and he did write the list.
I know, but
and you know what else? We didn't mention that happens this week, where everyone has to give a half silver shekel, and it starts with the census. They're giving the census because they want to know how many Jewish people there are.
Right. There's that, but I don't know. I just feel like the 13 attributes of mercy after Moses says, you got to forgive the Jews. He's like, all right, I'll forgive them, but this is the statutes of how I'm going to do it. It just feels like he's got to.
Well, I mean, these are good. I mean, we're seeing something different because almost before these 13 attributes of mercy, he's just more like a vengeful God.
Right.
That's what he's talking about. Oh, if you go against me, I'm gonna get on you. I'm gonna get on the fourth generation of you. But now, for the first time, now he's kind of having mercy, and he's saying, oh, like you guys are going to screw up, and like I'm going to forgive you for screwing up. And I think I think the Jews need to take on more of these attributes of mercy when dealing with other Jewish people that might not be as religious or share exactly the same beliefs they do, and certainly with non-Jews, and absolutely with, guess what I'm going to say, Jordan?
I know Israel.
The Palestinian people.
And Palestinian people, of course. Yeah, that's where you always go.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that.
I don't know. I just think it is interesting to see that after every time the Jews rebel or, screw up, that God has to have like a whole list of things. All right, let's get it down in writing, on paper. These are the things that you're not supposed to do.
Right. Well, Moses goes back up and he gets to get the commandments again,
Yeah.
And and he's having a hard time because he wants to see God's face. God doesn't want to show him his face. God only shows him his back. But still he's like, God is telling him the commandments. He's inscribing it, and like Moses' face becomes so like it has like the God powers. He has to like start wearing a veil after that. He has to start like covering his face. So crazy stuff is going down in the Bible,
It's always a lot.
But it's good. Mercy. We got to have mercy. We got to have merciful. I mean, I don't know if we want to go through the 13 attributes of mercy or if we want to just move on and talk about Israel.
We can go through some of the attributes. I'm happy to.
All right. So the first attribute is that God, he's going to be merciful even before a person sins, even though he's aware that the person could possibly sin.
Yeah. I know you're going to fuck this up. So,
right. So I'm already going to be cool with you.
You get one mulligan right off the bat.
Then God is merciful after you sin. He's still merciful.
Right.
He's merciful because he knows you're going to sin, and then he's merciful after you sin.
I told you so.
His name is very powerful, and it denotes that he's the ruler over all of nature and all of humankind. But it still shows that his mercy is even greater than how powerful his name is. That's how merciful he is, even more powerful. His name, he's very compassionate. He's filled with love and sympathy for humanity, and he doesn't put people in situations that have too much temptation, and he eases the punishment of guilt too, God. He has compassion now. He's gracious. He shows mercy even to those who don't deserve it.
He's not that humble, though. I'll say that. You think he's gracious? I don't know. These
are the attributes that he's going to be at 13. That he's gracious. He consoles the afflicted, and he raises up the oppressed. He's slow to anger. He gives the sinner time to repent.
Okay.
He's abundant in kindness. He's kind towards those who lack. He's kind towards people that don't even deserve it. He's nice to them.
He's not very funny, though.
There's none of these where it's like God will crack jokes. That's not one of the 13. He's honest. He never reneges on his word, which is very important. He's a preserver of kindness for thousands of generations. He remembers the deeds of the righteous, and they will benefit his generations. They will benefit like his kids. That's why we're constantly talking about the patriarchs, because of the same thing.
Okay.
He forgives iniquity. He forgives intentional sin resulting from evil dispositions.
Ooh.
Okay? So as long as the sinner repents, he's the forgiver of willful sin. He allows even those who commit a sin with malicious intent of rebelling against and angering him the opportunity to repent. So even if you're trying to piss him off, he'll give you another try. God.
Wow.
Let's see what else. He's a forgiver of error. He forgives those sins that are committed out of carelessness, thoughtlessness, or apathy.
Okay.
And he is merciful, gracious, and forgiving, wiping away the sins of those who truly repent. However, if one does not repent, God will not cleanse them.
Oh.
So those are the 13 attributes of mercy. They are like prayers. We sing them sometimes. They have to do with Kabbalists are really into numbers, especially 13.
Yep.
I think it's because 13 is more of like infinity, because I guess after 12, it's like the months and everything. And then 13, it takes it to infinity. Anyways, yeah. Those are the 13 attributes of mercy, which I think, go beyond Judaism and go beyond God, and they are qualities that we should have as humankind towards one another when it comes to forgiveness and giving people a chance and not kind of like judging them on their past actions and stuff like that.
I think these are great words to live by. I feel like it is a little, like I said, it's obviously it's God, so it's hard to be like, well, this guy's really full of himself. But
I mean, he is all powerful and all knowing.
But these are things that I think we should be using in our daily lives. That is certainly Israel should be more sensitive towards, and I think
Israel's not being very sensitive right now for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
While last week there was a horrible incident in the Palestinian town and Palestinian village. Have you heard about this?
Go ahead.
Where hundreds of Israeli settlers took to the street in this village, Hawara, and they killed a man. They injured hundreds of Palestinians. They set houses on fire. They burned cars, burnt businesses. They created what many people are calling a pogrom there, a riot. It was absolutely horrible. It was devastating. And then there were even some Israeli politicians who said that they should wipe out that whole village. Like, how disgusting is that? And it's horrible. And so many people came, and Jews, people all over the world, but even Jews were coming and saying, this is wrong. This isn't representative of the Jewish religion. This is horrible. But then it's Purim, and last night it happened again, where a family was accosted and beat up, and these Israeli settlers were singing out in this Palestinian village with the IDF, and they are, vandalizing things, and it's just disgusting. This isn't a way to celebrate Purim, and this isn't a way to represent the Jewish people. Whenever the Jews want to be like, people are so anti-Semitic and there's no reason for it. Things like this are why people dislike Jewish people because of the actions of these. And Jews everywhere need to be, calling these settlers out because it's just crazy. It's horrible. And first of all, these Israeli settlers shouldn't even be on that land. It's Palestinian land. Most of it is private Palestinian land. And it's just ridiculous that they go into these villages and they commit these atrocities and these crimes, and they do it under the protection of the Israeli military, which is gross. And then they have the nerve to say, oh, it's not an occupation, it's not an apartheid. When things like this happen, I think it's very indicative of it being both those things.
And it's also they're obviously not using any kind of mercy. I mean, it's so quick to judgment and execution. There's no they really go.
No, they're savages, and they're ruled not by what's right. They're ruled by this extremism view of Judaism that Israel belongs to the Jews and they'll take it all by any means necessary. And it is not good for the Jewish people. It's not good for Israel. It's not good for humanity. And that's just with that village. There's also this new right-wing government right now who's trying to change the judiciary system there. There have been thousands of people taken to the streets in Israel protesting. They were protesting, what these Israeli settlers did, but they were also protesting this new government trying to take control, which is horrible and disgusting, and it's going to kill the democracy in Israel.
It's also interesting that we talk about this stuff a lot, but you don't hear a lot of Israelis or other Jews condemning these types of things.
Well, I mean, they are condemning what's going to happen right now with the government, because not only have thousands and thousands of people taken the street from Tel Aviv and all over Israel to protest this new government and the judiciary reforms, but members of the Israeli military are saying we're not going to go to training exercises. The reservists are saying they're not going to show up because they don't want to represent this new government.
It's interesting that...
Which is great. I think it's awesome.
I don't have it ready to go, but I don't know if we want to talk about the voicemail that we got on our Instagram page.
Oh my gosh, we should. I don't. Where is my phone? Do you have your phone handy? Could we show it? I think I'm always on no battery. I'm always about to die. I'm I can't do anything with my phone. I need to save it in case I need it for an emergency. But yes, somebody messaged the American Jew Instagram. If you're not following us, please do. We post videos every day. Follow us across social media with some ugliness. An Israeli
dude, really.
I think he's a musician or something, and his attitude hopefully isn't as bad as his music is. But let's play this.
Hold on. Can I put it up to here?
Listen to me, motherfucker. You are very far from being a Jew. You stupid asshole. You are a self-hating Jew. You don't live here. You don't know what's going on. You are spreading fake news. Those 30 that you are talking about, Palestinians, and I'm saying it with quotes, so-called Palestinians, they were terrorists with guns who want to murder Jews. And you didn't talk about the 14 Israelis who were killed, murdered by Palestinians. There's no such thing as Fuckenstein. I'm just calling them Arabs. They are fucking Arabs, terrorists who would deserve to die. And they killed 14. They killed 14 innocent Israelis. So go fuck yourself, you fucking shit.
Yeah. So, some real...
Wow, look at this guy. First of all, this is the type of hatred, bigotry, and racism that Palestinians have to face. Just listen to this guy. It's absolutely ridiculous. By the way, there's been over 60 Palestinian deaths. And, of course, I've called out the deaths of anybody, no matter what side they are. We think that kind of violence is wrong. But it's amazing how people just want to try to ignore the fact that over 60 Palestinians have been murdered, 5 of which were killed by Israeli settlers. And look at this asshole. He just wants to say all Palestinians are terrorists, which is 100% not true. And I have to kind of disagree with him when he says they're innocent Israelis. They're not innocents because a lot of them were living in illegal settlements and they shouldn't have been. So I wouldn't actually use the word innocent. I still don't think they should have been killed. I don't think anyone needs to be murdered. But it's absolutely crazy that this is the attitude, and like these are the types of messages that we get. And this person thinks they want to represent the Jewish people. And another thing. We need to stop equating Israelis with Jews. Not all Jews are Israelis, and Israelis want to take on and say that, the Jewish people, and use that to like kind of hide behind their crimes. It's enough. We need to distinguish between Israelis and Jewish people because they are not 100% the same.
Also, guys like this who send messages like that, they don't follow us. It's not like he's watching all of our videos and then coming to an informed decision about how what we talk about on the show. It's like, I get. He watched one clip and went off the deep end about it. Like, I'm sorry we didn't encompass the entirety of this debate in 30 fucking seconds.
And I love how bad his English is, but he still knows every single curse word in English.
Well, I mean,
he's like eager to call us. He called us everyone. And just when you think his message is over, he's like, beach.
Yeah. Listen, that doesn't surprise me. All of the foreign words that I learned as a child were curse words.
Oh,
also.
okay.
You didn't learn curse words before you learned actual.
But I mean, I don't think I could like say as many curse words in Hebrew that he said to us in English.
I learned gay kakanaf and yam before I learned my Torah portion.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, good. I guess your rabbi was a lot different than mine.
Well, he liked the jokes also. My
Okay,
rabbi,
all right. But yes, please don't send us hate messages like that. If you want to send us a message, we prefer to have something positive.
Or at least, acknowledge that you only listened to one clip before coming to a conclusion about the entirety of our work.
I mean, that just makes sense because like they only listen to one side.
Right.
They have no interest in hearing the other side of the story, which there is. He wants to say Fakestein or whatever. He can't even open his mind to the possibility of there being a Palestine and an Israel. And it's people like this that hurt Israel and Jewish people, in my opinion.
There's a lot of correlations, too, to what's happening in Ukraine.
He's a freaking Haman.
There's a lot of correlation to what's happening in Ukraine right now also, and in Russia. All the propaganda that Russia's putting out to try to get the Russian people to really vilify Ukrainians. I don't know if you saw the video that Schwarzenegger put out. Arnold Schwarzenegger put out a video.
I didn't see it, but I stopped watching Schwarzenegger movies after True Lies. Now, I didn't see it, but I heard he called out hatred. He called out anti-Semitism, and which is great, Arnold. I'm so glad.
Yeah, he's like, you guys are losers. You guys are big losers, just like the Germans. The Nazis are losers.
It's true. They are losers. If you hate, you're a freaking loser, all right?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's really kind of great to see Schwarzenegger talking directly to Russian people and bigoted people like, listen, you're not getting the full story. You're basing all of your opinions and all of your, hatred on... You're being manipulated to believe this stuff.
Yeah, it's freaking propaganda, and the same thing I think happens in Israel, where they are only told what's good for their narrative, and that's why it's so great that so many people are taking the streets now, are protesting, and as horrible as what happened in these Palestinian villages and what's still happening, and the violence that these Israeli settlers bestow upon the Palestinians, I think now at least it's shining more of a light, because there's actually in this year alone, there's been actually an average of 3 incidents a day related to settler violence that the Palestinians face. And people don't even realize it, but after seeing what happened when like 400 Israeli settlers took to the street and burned down this town, now people are starting to realize, like, oh my goodness, like, there is more to the story. Like, who is the victim and who are the terrorists? Because I tell you, those Israeli settlers that were marching through the village, they're freaking terrorists.
Listen, I mean, we talk about this so often on the show about how dangerous it is to let hatred and bigotry and stuff like this just perpetuate itself. And it's sad that we don't go out of our way really to educate people properly and to push back against it. That people that are even on our side about it still turn it into a black and white issue. That don't understand, that don't really talk about the nuances of a lot of it.
Right. And well, I feel like that's what we try to do a little bit here on American Jew.
I mean, it's crazy to think that all this shit is happening around the world, that there's still all these anti-Semitic acts and of vandalism and harassment happening in America, and Jews are like, happy Purim! Have your cookies.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is what we're celebrating, that kind of oppression. Haman wanted to wipe out all the Jews. he was a Jew hater. Like, I don't know if we mentioned it before, but Mordecai refused to bow to him because he was a Jew, and that's kind of when he came out and let him know that he was a Jew, and this enraged Haman so much that he wouldn't conform to him and bow down to him, so then he was going to kill all of the Jews. But thankfully, Mordecai convinced Esther, who had Ahasuerus's eye, to intervene, and she did, and she had 2 big meals from them, and then she told him that she was Jewish and what Haman was going to do, and Haman had built gallows to try to hang Mordecai, and Ahasuerus hung Haman on those very gallows, and then he couldn't take back his decree about attacking the Jews, so he said that the Jews are allowed to defend themselves, which they did, and they persevered, which we always do, and that's why we're celebrating Purim.
Yeah. Cheers.
And we hope everybody has a great Purim. Happy Purim. Get your Homentashen on. Dress up.
Yeah.
This is actually, I guess this episode is going to air a couple days after Purim. So we hope you had a good one.
I hope you're nursing a hangover.
Oh, yeah, if you're still nursing a hangover when we release the episode, then you definitely had a good Purim and you definitely celebrated it well.
Yeah. L'chaim to you guys. Thanks for listening and watching.
Check us out across social media, American Jew Podcast. Of course, you could check me out on social media at Jonathan Randall.
You can always follow me on Instagram at Beatnik Nudnik. And you can always follow my other podcast, Where's the Grief? And I'm going to finish these Hamantashen and...
Chag Sameach.